Respected Symposium Sahab, distinguished delegates. First of all, I'd like to thank GLK and other organizer of this today's workshop on ecotourism in Ladakh. It's a big honor for me being invited as a guest of honor for today's workshop, and I really thank from my bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity. I've been working in Ladakh for the last 2 decades, and it's very surprising that an all-India service officer can serve in an area for so long. But I'm constantly and seen how tourism, ecotourism, wildlife, culture has been evolved in Ladakh for last 20 years. So ecotourism, as Mr. Symposium has very clearly and very categorically and very aptly described, is about visiting of a tourist in an area which is very fragile, and especially when it is culturally, ecologically very sensitive, and Ladakh being such a destination is very apt for ecotourism. And apart from that, ecotourism has some other meaning in the sense that it not only visiting an area which is ecologically fragile and environmentally very sensitive, but it is also that the visitor must protect the environment, culture. At the same time, they must provide livelihood, income to the people in that area. So why Wildlife Department, which I was looking for so many years, went into the process of ecotourism was mainly because we wanted that local community should have alternate livelihood options. Local should, their economy should prosper, their culture should be protected, the environment should be protected. Our main object was only that. We were not in the business of tourism, but we were being an alternate option for livelihood option. We went into ecotourism since 2001. So in the process, so Ladakh is an area on the leeward side of the Himalaya, and it is at many places, I said, Ladakh, nature has kept Ladakh very high, dry, and cold. But at the same time, it is given in this area a breathtaking environment. It has a history, geological history, in the sense that when the Indian plates and the Eurasian plates collided, the whole Himalayan range was formed. And that has given into diverse range of mountains, the Great Himalayan Range, the Inner Himalayan Range, the Ladakh Range, the Zanskar Range, and the Tibetan Plateau. So therefore, there is a diversity of the landscape in this area, and that is a heaven for geologists. Similarly, Ladakh, when these 2 plates were collided, the Indian geographical region, geophysical region, that is called Indian Peninsula, and the Eurasian, that is called Palearctic region. So these 2 collided. Therefore, we have the biodiversity, we have the wildlife, we have biodiversity of the both regions. The gorges, very high mountains are there, and in the southern side we have the Kargil area, which is more moist and much more green, and we have most of the species of the Indian peninsula. Coming to biodiversity, we have very high, rich biodiversity in the all the species that I said, found in the Indian plateau. Ladakh is a pastoral, agro-pastoral region. Especially in the eastern region, we have the pastoral communities, and in the southern part we have very marginal agriculture. In the central Ladakh we have marginal agriculture, and some places you can see this green patches. This is an agriculture area, It is in the Zanskar and Zanskar side. So this is a pastoralism, very difficult and very fragile, and because of the climate change, there was mass death of livestock a few years back because of heavy snowfall, and which has also resulted heavy damage and mass death of wildlife also. Coming to conservation of biodiversity, on the apex side, we have snow leopard. Snow leopard, health of snow leopard determines the health of our biodiversity of Ladakh. So traditionally, Ladakh, being a pastoralist community, it was very difficult to give away the pastoralism, and snow leopard, the wolf, does heavy damage to the livestock. Therefore, there was enormity, there was retributing killing, and there was so much of problem in the conservation of biodiversity. So there was some issues challenging the biodiversity, was a lack of sustainable livelihood and biodiversity in the development planning and around the biodiversity rich area, and the sheep and goats. So, and there was problem. The problem that is that we have some restriction applied in the natural mental activities. They were all our every project has to be approved by the government, and wildlife damaged by the agriculture. Wildlife damage not only livestock. They don't have only there's a depredation, but they also damage the agricultural field. So and especially the predators. Depredation on horse being killed, yak being killed by snow leopard, and this is a snow leopard which killed about 22 goats and sheep in Nemo area, and you can believe this very. I think you can spot the snow. This very snow leopard was injured from the back, and the whole skin was ripped off. We could see. Especially during November, December, before the onset of winter, people go for collecting firewood. Firewood is nothing but we don't have that kind of a forest or trees in Ladakh. People go in the mountain and take out all the bushes, which is a fodder for the livestock as well as for the wildlife. That is being the mountains area being collected. Another problem that we were facing was unregulated tourism. That was camping and executing tourism activity in the eco-fragile area. This is a photograph from Somoriri. And another problem that we faced was overgrazing by the pack animals for trekking, and that disturbed the wildlife, pollution, garbage dumping, and collection of rare plants and butterflies from the eco-fragile area. Another problem that we face, because in these are the areas very, very pristine. We have a pristine beauty, and it is a destination for adventure tourism, cultural tourism, ecotourism, and we have best renewable energy resources, and we do have raw material for all handicraft and handlooms. So that was the opportunity that we had. So we use all this opportunity to. So the figures where the tourism has been going for trekking, rafting, mountaineering, and riding in the desert area of Nubra. So Ladakh is very pristine. It's very photogenic. You clip anywhere, you get a professional photograph all along. So this is another trekking area we'll call Chadar Track along the Chadar River of Ladakh from Nemo to Zanskar. And this is a way to go to our Hibis National Park. You have to cross this Zanskar River. There were many attempts to make a bridge. It was flown away by the flood and is again being rebuilt. So trekking is a very good sport in the national park. And Ladakh is very photogenic. Any tourist coming, they will be clipping and getting very professional photograph. So the whole issue started with the Hill Council. We had a vision document under the Hill Council at the time that the initiative was taken by Mr. Rigden Spalber, Chief Executive Councillor. That point of time, we went for a participatory planning and as well as for a vision document. So that was started. Ladakh has already started. Planning is the most important aspect before we take any initiative. So Ladakh came up with a vision document. The Ladakh vision document says that by 2025, Ladakh will be a model for conservation in a difficult environment with sustainability embedded in cultural protection, conservation of environment, and sustainable development and gender empowerment. So that are the key pillars of Ladakh vision document. So that forms the key planning that we have done in almost every village of Ladakh. That is participatory planning, that is micro level planning. So I will be sharing all these things. I don't want to read all of them. So what are the livelihood improvement projects that could come in ecotourism was to management of homestays, campsite management, formation of women self-help group, reviving traditional craft, nature guide training that your organization has done. We were doing since 2001. Entrepreneurship development in travel business for the locals, and implementation of renewable energy to offset the use of the postures and book is made of 3 volumes, which is one on flora, fauna, and avifauna. Every time we have a guide training, we distribute this to them, then they can easily identify it. Initially, we give theoretical knowledge. After that, we do a practical knowledge, taking them to the national park, sanctuary areas to identify each and every species. So therefore, they become we give training in computer, internet, so that they can interact directly with the tourists. We book, which I showed, and that we started long back. This kind of training. This is a training about the Ladakh artifacts in the kitchens. Did we train people? And at the same time, pitching tents, selecting camping area, and guides are being trained in all this field training of them. So there are many agencies which has worked on homestays, and in Himis National Park, in Karakoram National Park, in Changthang Wildlife Sanctuary, and some part in the Zanskar area. So all put together about, I think about now, it should be about, actually I'm not in contact with the department. Now, when I left, it was 2,500 homestay we have established. So it is very simple that, simple rooms furnished with local Ladakhi lifestyle, hygienically cooked traditional food eaten with the family, clean traditional dry compost toilet, and marketed through the local trekking agents. So this is the at an average now earns about 1 lakh rupees, and there are some household which goes to 10 lakh rupees also, where there's a very scarcity of homestays. We trained them in cooking. That was long back. This one, I think in 2008, how to cook food for a tourist, what kind of food tourists should be cooked. Because in Ladakh, we have, when we say tea, we know only one kind of tea. Tourists require almost 10 different types of tea. Like we have lemon tea, black tea, ginger tea, so many. Everything has been taught to them so that they can be able to facilitate them. And later we became much more expert in it. We have done it with a professional way of cooking things and making them understand how to cook different dishes, especially suiting to tourists. And tourists are made to test whether it is to their liking. And that was very successfully done. And this is about a training that we have done to skew markai, that homestay people. So therefore, there was very starting facts that, when I asked this women self-help group, what are the main benefit that you acquire out of the ecotourism and homestays? So one woman she said, there are about 5 main benefits that we see because of the homestay that they're off. With small effort, they are able to earn much more than agriculture and the pastoral farming they used to do. So that was economically, they were well off. Second thing, they were, because they were made for tourists, they were hygienically very, very well. Therefore, health services was much better. Third, they were able to send their children outside their villages for education to various places for better education. And fourth thing, that was the fifth thing that was very startling, that it was an eye-opener for me. She said, there's a discipline in the house. So I couldn't understand. I thought because the tourists are coming, therefore everybody is disciplined. So the fact is that in Ladakh, especially the plowing and the harvesting, other things are done by male. And during the daytime, it is a custom in Ladakh, during the harvesting or plowing, the male folk drink a lot of local liquor that is called chung. So in the evening when they come back, they cause a lot of ruckus. Michael दारू पी के दंगा करता है, वो वाला लद्दाख में होता था. So therefore, that when they had tourist guests in their house, they were not allowed to drink. So that has really changed the lifestyle of the people in that area. So that was a starting fact. So these are the women in our national park area, and tourists also work in the household as a helping hand. And this is the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. They were having a birthday cake made at the homestays. So that are the expertise they have gained. And these are the homestay being done in the Changthang area. This is a camping site, dry toilets, eco cafe. This has already been provided by department, and the training in handicraft handloom with the locals to make souvenirs. And it was in 2004 that pelt souvenir that we made with the locals in the national park area. So this is the first attempt they were able to make really good souvenirs. And these very girls did make tigers, snow leopard, everything was so beautifully made. I also tried to make some, but I don't know which kind of animal it could resemble. So this is a handicraft handloom, and we had a marketing center for them in the local in market, but it didn't work because the souvenir they make in the homestays, they sell like a hot cake, it doesn't come to the market. And this is about education, awareness. This is part of the ecotourism that we have been doing. And this is a protected coral pan so that snow leopard cannot enter this pan and coral, and damage is minimized. This is about education. I'll go fast, I think. We use renewable energy to the maximum. This is greenhouse gas, this is community cooking, this is small cookers and water heaters. It has been established all around Ladakh. It has really reduced the dependence on local people on the natural resources, especially from the mountains. So waste management we have done all along. It is becoming sustainable now, because earlier we used to take it, collect ourselves. Later, local community used to collect, and we used to take the truck to collect it. So now that the local community themselves collect, and the truck wala or the garbage wala, they themselves go and collect it. Therefore, there is no need of the department to interfere. It has become very sustainable. So this is a cash for trash, as we say, become very sustainable. As I say, it is still going on. Every year it is done, and in the process, the whole using a multi-pronged strategy for conservation. So that snow leopard, which has become very, very iconic, and Ladakh, I can say with the pride that it is the only place in the world where you can see snow leopard in the wild. And we now give a granted sighting of snow leopard. It's all because of ecotourism and livelihood options that people now preserve the environment, protect the wildlife. Earlier there was enormity with them. Now it is a big revenue earner for the villages. I can share one story. It is very important, I think, at this point. There was one call from a village called Mangyu. So villagers called me saying that snow leopard has gone into pan and killed all the sheep and goat. Please come and collect it. So I was a bit apprehensive. I sent my team with tranquilizer gun, net, and vehicle, and a good number, a very far away place, so that it doesn't goes back into villages and create more problem. So here, what happens in Mangyu, when our team reached, they cooperated in catching the snow leopard, and when they were coming back, they were hosted with a good lunch, and they were very surprised how that could happen. After that, when they were coming back out of the village youngsters came with bikes and vehicles. They stopped them at the boundary of the village. They said, "Don't take this snow leopard. It is our snow leopard. We want to keep it here." So because there's now competition among the villagers to conserve snow leopard, because snow leopard is become a big earner for villagers. During the winter, when there's no tourism, people all around the world come to see snow leopards. Villages like Skew, Marka, Stock, then Ule, all the places are now benefited because of the winter tourism that people come to see snow leopard. Give the Best Responsible Tourism Award to Ladakh Hill Council. This is being received by our Chief Executive Councillor Shri Rigzins Parbar and is me, and it was a big occasion for Ladakh for this very project. So this is all about various activities that department has taken, and I think that we need to collaborate with the various agencies. There are so many agencies who is giving ecotourism training. There's so many NGOs, so many organizations. So because of these activities, Government of India gave the Best Responsible Tourism Award to Ladakh Hill Council. This is being received by our Chief Executive Councillor Shri Rigzins Parbar and is me, and it was a big occasion for Ladakh for this very project. So this is all about various activities that department has taken, and I think that we need to collaborate with the various agencies. There are so many agencies who is giving ecotourism training. There's so many NGOs, so many organizations, tourism department, wildlife department. They need to be standardized training, certification, so that the service sector, especially from Ladakh, is become much better. It is said that especially in tennis, lawn tennis, and hospitality, there's one thing is very common. In tennis, the one who serves the best always wins. And it's also in the service sector, especially in ecotourism, the one who can serve the best will win. And I hope that Ladakh wins. Thank you so much.